can you build a radio software? My boss wants to build a radio software. Was not even done in India at that time. And when we built DEWN, we didn't have a disaster management center in the country.
Today you're selling to over 1,000 companies across the world.
Yes.
In the middle of all that, you focus on Unicode Sinhala. Who came up with that? Why?
So this Sinhala font business or the Jayaweera business was continuing as another product line. And there were a couple of people driving that business. Even though our HR and time attendance software business has taken off, the people who used to sell Jayaweera was continuing to do so. This is a era where there was a huge battle to establish Sinhala Unicode. That battle was led by late Professor Samaranayake together with people like now Professor Gihan Dias. And people like us, young software companies, and I remember Dr. Rupasinghe, all these people were on one side, and there were a bunch of people, or there's a prominent figure on the other side, proposing a different approach to establish Sinhala. Long story short, it's a very interesting era. We wrote the first Sinhala keyboard driver in our office. Our CTO, our current CTO Shan, together with Professor Gihan Dias from University of Moratuwa. So Professor Gihan used to come to our office, they sit together and wrote the first Sinhala keyboard driver with the help of Microsoft in Redmond. Because in 2000, at that era, 2003, Sriyan De Silva Vijayratne became the first country manager, and Microsoft was just started, and one of the commitment at that time was to enable Sinhala across Windows, so government to everybody can use Sinhala. So we felt very proud when we work. Actually, we worked with ICTA also at that time. So the ICTA agency was formed. I can't believe later.
That you're a board member today.
Few decades later, I became a board member of ICTA. It's crazy when you connect the dots back. Actually, we wrote that behalf of ICTA and with Microsoft's support, and we made the first Sinhala keyboard Unicode driver for Windows ecosystem.
From there, you go to the world's first local language messaging for feature phones, and you win awards for this as well.
So we were so good at language stuff, especially Shan. So we didn't stop with Sinhala, we did Tamil because Shan is Tamil, and Shan is one of the most phenomenal linguistic tech person we had. He is an amazing guy. So I told Shan, this is the era where feature phones was proliferating at a rate, and GSM was all over. Why not we build the ability to phones, these are feature phones, are not smartphones, Marian, to talk to each other in our own language. That's how we built Sinhala and Tamil SMS for feature phones. And when we showcased this, and we even came up with patented our own phonetic typing mechanism. So the whole thing can be typed on a feature phone keypad, very, very easy. So this thing was not even done in India at that time.
Right.
We were like the world's first to beat, and we subsequently did for other Indic languages like Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Malayali, all, and even Divahi in Maldives. And when we showcased this, the GSM Asia, actually it was the first ever GSM Asia Innovation Award. He became the winner, and then we ended up in the World Awards in Barcelona, Spain. These like the mobile Oscars, and I will, maybe Damindu, you remember going to Barcelona and presenting this product in front of all the judges, and huge. It was huge, right? For us, we were a tiny company. For now,
we were sitting on this table with some of the other nominees, and the guy in the team next to us were Amazon's A9 search team. So the search functions you see on Amazon today that lets you search through all the Amazon products, they were there to win an innovation. And you look to the right, and again, it's some sort of a massive Silicon Valley company. And I remember there was a lady from a company called Vonage that did SMS to voice thing. So you look at all these companies, they've got like funding worth millions and millions. They're all from Silicon Valley. And here's Harsha going to the stage in Barcelona, at the GSMA Awards.
So, and then also not only awards, we actually made lots of, Dialogue launched it. Subsequently, Etisalat at that time launched it. And lots of people download the application and it was...
just empowered people, communities.
People started messaging on that product.
So with all of these wins going for you, from your web-based HR systems to your language wins, suddenly you go and start a disaster and emergency warning system. How did that come about?
Actually, disaster and emergency warning network is a complete accident. It happened because of a catastrophic disaster, which was the tsunami. Talking while seeing the sea waves next to us, this was in 2004, the catastrophe, right? Just after that, I was involved in voluntarily going to down south, providing psychosocial support to people who got impacted. I did this for like good 6 months. So while I was going to households, I still remember this elderly lady asking me, if this happens again, how will I know? If this kind of thing comes to us, because this is the first time we heard the name even tsunami, right? So I was thinking like, why can't we use DSL? And then I spoke to Hans, who was the CEO of Dialogue at that time, and I told Doctor, look, can we build something on GSM for this? Then, and Hans also liked to think big, and he said like, why don't you figure out a way to transition a feature phone into an alarm device? So we built a Java application for feature phones and build a middleware platform. And it became an interesting social innovation. This was not a product. This was not a commercial product. We wanted to solve the problem. So we collaborated. It was a very interesting time. A software company, a leading telco, and Sri Lanka's leading university for engineering, University of Moratuwa. We collaboratively built disaster and emergency warning network, because Dialogue had a research lab in University of Moratuwa, which was led by Professor Gyan's wife, Dr. Dilip Kadais at that time, with some phenomenal Moratuwa engineers. So they built a hardware device. We built the middleware platform as a software, and Dialogue powered with the network. So we used some very cool network technologies from cell broadcast. A lot of people even don't know about cell broadcast at that time. Cell broadcast is like a point to multi-point broadcast technology. We were like one of the first to pioneer that for a disaster emergency broadcast using a newly discovered protocol called CAP, Common Alerting Protocol. So we adapted CAP and built DEWN. And when we built DEWN, we didn't have a disaster management center in the country to donate this. Then I remember at that time, Ministry of Public Security, Law and Order was the ministry who undertook temporarily. But in 2009, when Disaster Management Center was formed, we officially installed and implemented DEWN at DMC. Until today, even today morning, I got a message from DMC, it's done through DEWN platform. But it was not a commercial product, it was a social innovation. But we've implemented this into Haiti also. Of course, we need to complete the rollout and so forth, but we gave it's not a commercial product, it's a social innovation.
One of the threads with this story is from time to time, because there is this amazing engineering team, the company does other products. So for example, if you look through the history, there is what now feels like random, there is a cable billing software company for a cable TV company. Or for example, if you took Dialogue, when they were first rolling out their network, and one of the things that network rollout required was the network monitoring, performance monitoring, especially for them to get their ISO certifications. And they looked at these international products like HP OpenView is a product that costs a couple of million US. And they turned to us. So we never done network monitoring. They turned to us and said, do you have a product? And in fact, we pitched the idea how we can build a product with no product. But by then, Harsha and team have got such credibility with Dialogue, which is a forward-looking company. They said, we know you don't have a product. Why don't you build a product that will cost us millions of dollars if we are to buy from HP? In fact, I think that product ran their network rollout they said initially we'll just use it for 12 months and then we'll switch to something bigger, but then ended up using that for probably a couple of years.
Yeah, quite a few years, yes.
So speaking of broadcast, You all then moved into broadcast solutions.
Yeah, so it's completely accidental again. 2003 this happened. I still remember while working in World Trade Center, financial controller of ADC Broadcasting, who's famed for Gold FM, Hiru FM, accidentally met me. He used to be working for apparel factory before, who used to be one of our customers for time attendance software. So he knew our capability. He said, Machan, this is completely different. Can you build a radio software? My boss wants to build a radio software. You know who the boss is, right?
Yes.
So we didn't know who this boss is, but we took the challenge. And because Damindu was working for us at that time, he was in Sri Lanka doing his masters during that gap period. And he said, this is a fascinating area. I have some exposure to this software because of my father's work in UN, UNESCO actually. So we ended up going and studying how the DJs work, how the scheduling works, and whole heap of other stuff. And that's how mStudio was born. And Hiru, Gold, Sun FM, actually it's Rainer's brainchild. And Rainer actually, I don't know what made him believe that. Rainer felt that his software can be built in Sri Lanka. He was a very, very tough person to deal with, but we delivered, and he absolutely loved it. And it became the software which powered the ABC broadcast. But then subsequently he said, you have to only let us use. But after few years later, when Maharaja also wanted the same piece of software, we managed to somehow convince Rainer. He has a very big business. This is a tiny piece of software. I remember telling him, look, if we just continue to only serve you, we don't do one-off software. We don't like to do projects. If we sell it to more radio stations, it will be ubiquitous and you will benefit out of it. So that's how we ended up selling to other radio stations. And today, almost all the leading radio networks are powered by mStudio. Not only that, some of the Southeast Asian radio stations are powered by mStudio.
For me, what was one of the coolest things about this particular one, it's when I felt what the team has built is a technology powerhouse that had credibility, exposure enough for someone like those guys to sign a contract with no product. To agree on pricing, to deliver something that wasn't built in Sri Lanka ever, and we had no track record of, but they were willing to trust because by then there was enough credibility behind this story, behind what it's done for the customers. And that trust theme is something that I think still continues to this day.
Absolutely, yes. And it's crazy. You guys literally have no product. And then you all built something so amazing that the biggest names in Sri Lanka clearly want it, and now it's gone global as well. In 2007, Microimage broke into two subsidiaries to bring focus for HR software separately and broadcast and digital tech separately. Why did this happen? How did this happen?
That's a good question. This happened. So after Barcelona, when we showcase our Sinhala software and all that in Barcelona, and Barcelona is a huge event, GSMA event. And since we built this technology for other Indic languages, Airtel, Aircel, Vodafone, all these Indian operators were very keen to roll out our product. Since we had that opportunity, there were some venture companies talking to us who were having small pods. So we didn't know what venture is, how venture works. So when we go and talk to them, they ask, so what do you guys do? Are you guys a startup? We didn't know what a startup even. We only thing we knew is we just organically grew a company to that point. And we told them we are doing HR software, we're doing payroll software, we are doing Sinhala software, we are doing this software. So they said, you all are all over the place. You have to do something, you have to be very clear on what you do. That day I remember we are flying back to France, to Damindu's house. I said to Damindu, look, it's very confusing for people what this is all about. We need to split this company because HR software is a very focused piece of software for a particular domain. The rest of the IT, all the broadcast, digital IT, we need to spin off. That's how Microimage Mobile Media was formed. And we moved all our non-HR intellectual property to Microimage Mobile Media in 2007. That's how it was born.